Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Now more than ever, we need to build teams and companies that put people first. I don't have any quantitative analysis or metrics that prove that is true, but I know from my experience of running teams, talking to thousands of people that run teams, and seeing what makes people happy and engaged at work, that having a people first culture and building teams that puts people first is beneficial to you as a leader, to the individuals involved, to the teams and the organizations that they represent. And I wanted to share what I see as the approach to doing that and some of the measures that we have at Cynozure that are we've been testing and trialing and iterating on since we set up in 2016, some of which have been really successful. We've changed and pivoted and adjusted over the years, but there's been a set of principles that have been at the heart of how we have tried to create a people first business. And hopefully it's creating a company that people want to hang out with, people want to work for, people want to buy from, people want to partner with, and that's the experience that we're having. So hopefully this episode will shine some light on what a people first business looks like. So first up, the approach that I kind of think about here, and I did have to unpick what we've done over the years, but there's sort of three components I think to doing this. One is mindset. And the mindset is the most important thing here. A mindset of people first and a culture of being people first underpins anything else you do. And I'll come back to that. The second is governance. So you need something in place that looks after the approach of having a people first business. And then there's the specific support mechanisms and policies and things that you have in place that back up the people first mentality. So if I start with mindset. So what do I mean by this? Well, during COVID, at the start of COVID and the start of lockdown, when organizations went remote and everyone went back home, lots of organizations tried to adjust their culture, adjust their organization to be okay with people not being in the office. And we know that's a common story. I'm not going to go through all of that sort of stuff, but those that had a real challenge with that and those that have quickly reverted back to having everyone back in the office are organizations that weren't really okay with the idea that you're running an organization where people are a little bit more flexible, a little bit more free, a little bit more in control of their own work day. What we found when we went into lockdown was that our culture that we already have of being distributed and remote working and online, and some of the things I'm going to talk about in a sec about mindset, put us in really good stead when we went remote and supported us through that period. So what do I mean by mindset? Well, at the heart of being a people first business, you have to have and provide and give trust and allow trust and accountability to permeate through the organization. So we need to trust people to do a good job. We need to trust people to get on and do the right thing. We need to trust people that they work as many hours they need to get the work done, and trust people to act and behave in the best interest of themselves first, but also of the organization. And secondly, accountability. We need to make sure we hold people to account, but we give them the accountability, give them the tools to be able to crack on. So that combination of trust and accountability is at the heart of being a people first business. On top of that, and to ensure that people trust you as an organization and allow themselves to be accountable, is that you give transparency and clarity back to people. Transparency about where you're trying to go, transparency about how the business is performing, transparency and clarity in terms of what's happening, the good days, the bad days. And with that transparency and clarity, you start to build trust and you start to build accountability amongst the teams. Now, we have a number of core values that we live by: being authentic, being brave, being a crew, having each other's backs, and being focused. And those values set out a sort of standard of behavior, if you like, that means that we're people first. We're authentic with each other. We're brave and we stand up for what we think is right. We act as a crew. We have each other's backs. We look after each other. We look out for each other, and we're focused on getting the job done. And the combination of those things allows us to act and behave in a way that people understand that we're an organization that cares about people. Now, what's really important, that's pointed out to me often, is that unless me as a leader and the leaders that are putting this sort of mindset in place, live and breathe and demonstrate and show those values day to day in everything they do, none of this works. So unless you show that you trust people, unless you show that you're giving accountability and you're taking accountability, unless you show transparency, unless you give clarity, unless you show those values, you won't be trusted as a leader, and this mindset doesn't really fit and sit within what you're looking to achieve. So people first organization has to have, and this is the mindset I think is needed for a people first, people focused business, has to have this mindset in place. And that's fundamental, because none of the other things, pool tables and, early finishes on a Friday and all these other kind of things that you can put in place, the mechanisms that you can put in place, which I'll come to, none of those matter unless you've got this mindset of being a people first organization. Now, secondly, before we get to those specific details of, well, what do you put in place? I think there's a really important bit about governance here, because this stuff doesn't just happen by chance. It doesn't just happen through osmosis. You have to consciously create an organization, consciously create a team, constantly and consciously create a set of behaviors that work this way. And we have to govern that. So what are some of the things within governance? A clear mission statement, something that gives a North Star that everyone knows we're heading towards. The specifics that you do, the strategy, the objectives, the operations that you do sort of day to day, week to week, month to month might change, but the North Star, where are we heading? What's our purpose? Why are we trying to achieve this stuff? That helps to keep everyone aligned. Now, the next sort of level down for that for me in governance is the co-creation and communication of the short and mid-term direction and objectives that you have as an organization that are trying to get you to the North Star, but that are a bit more sort of tangible, they're a bit more here and now. But the co-creation of those, and particularly the communication of those, are mega important to make sure that you keep people focused, keep people aligned, keep people focused. Importantly, keep them feeling part of an organization and part of the process of deciding what we're trying to achieve and how we're trying to achieve it. And you do that together, so that we achieve it together, rather than delivering the strategy to people. We're involving people in it, and it really builds a sense of togetherness, that we're in this together, we're trying to achieve these things together, and that we care and understand what people's contribution to that is and how we might deliver the strategy or the objectives or the project that we're looking to achieve. So that co-creation, that communication, that togetherness when we're defining strategy, defining objectives, and contributing towards our sort of North Star mission statement. The other thing that we have from a governance point of view, and this is different in all sorts of organizations, is a single metric to judge our overall success. So rather than individual teams, individual people, individual departments having competing and maybe even selfish objectives that help them deliver what they're trying to achieve, we have a single overall metric that we judge the business by, we judge individuals by, which for us is is the profit, the operating profit of the business. And then we divide a share of the profits amongst everyone within the business at the end of the year, whether we perform, overperform, underperform, whatever it might be. So a single metric that we're all judged by, and we all share in the success or the failure of that together. That builds a sense of togetherness, puts us all on the same page, and that helps to know that we're not competing against each other. So day to day, we're on the same page. We also use, so there's sort of all that side of it, we also use data to judge our performance. So to go alongside all the things that are natural, perception of performance, how it feels in the business at any one time, our emotion of whether things are good, whether things are bad, whether we just completed a project, whether we just lost a proposal that we went for. All these things create perception and emotion about how we're performing, but the data that we have about how we're performing, about where we're going, about our cash flow, about our balance sheet, about operationally how we're performing, about utilization, about our revenues, all these kind of things. If we can have that as a foundational set of metrics and data that we can judge our performance by, it sits alongside the emotion that comes with running a team, running a business. So that goes without saying, certainly from a data consultancy and a data business, that we would judge our performance by using some data. Now, the final thing on a governance point of view and our work towards trying to get B Corp certification is that we have changed our company articles that oblige us to care equally about people and the planet alongside making profit. So we're a profit-making business, we're a commercial business, but the change that we made to our company articles make us care more, just about as much around people and the planet as they do making profit. So it's having a purpose beyond creating profit and creating commercial outcomes. That's really important, especially as a private business. So that change in company articles means that we're focused on people as much as we are about anything else. And from a governance point of view, it gives us a reason, not just because we feel it's the right thing, but it's now something we have to do. And absolutely, that's the right thing. It's been the right call for us. So mindset sets the kind of tone, it sets the standard, it sets the direction, it tells us what we need to be about. Governance helps us control, if you like, and give us a framework to deliver people first business. But then we get to the specifics. So the support mechanisms and policies that hopefully our plan is that aligns to to this idea of being people first. So one of the things we have is essentially termed in different ways, but work in the way that suits you. So we are a distributed team. We have people all over the UK. We have people in the US. We have people in Europe. A distributed team, hybrid working, access to flexible office workspace for focused work, for collaboration, for meetings, for events, for get-togethers, whether it's just hanging out together and working together, whether it's for a specific purpose, and no specific working hours or micromanagement of when you're at your desk or when you aren't at your desk. If you need to take the car to the garage, take your car to the garage. If you need to pick up the kids from school at 3 in the afternoon, pick up the kids from school at 3 in the afternoon. If you need to go to the gym at 2 o'clock because you need to get out of the house, then go to the gym at 2 o'clock to get out of the house. It's got to work into your schedule. Work isn't about just working. Work is about supporting and providing for your own personal and professional development, sitting alongside the rest of your life. And I think it's really important that we get that across to our team, certainly, that this isn't about 9 to 5 being tracked. It's about doing the work, getting through the objectives, being clear where we're trying to go, and then working in a way that suits you. That means you can get to deliver those objectives in the right way, but that fits around the rest of your life. And no one is tracking whether you're sat at your desk or not. Now, the other thing, and we have a lot of debate about this internally actually, is an uncapped holiday allowance. Now, an uncapped holiday allowance, and I'm not going to go into all the detail now, has some pros and it has some cons, but the principle of it, this kind of mindset of it, is to take time off when you need it. And taking time off when you need it makes you way more productive as an individual than being really fixed about specific dates, specific times, specific restrictions on how much holiday you can take. And I know that the productivity of someone, if they've taken some time off, is way higher than if they're just motoring through. So we don't want that to be uncapped. We do check that people take the minimum that they should be having in the UK. Certainly, that's an obligation that we have. So we track to make sure that people are taking their minimum allowance, but we want to make sure that people have the flexibility and freedom to take the time off when they need. We treat people as grown-ups. They take holiday when they need. They take time off when they need. They work to focus on their objectives when they can as well. We have physical and mental health support. So as an organization and as an individual, I know that my own physical health, my own mental health is important to allow me to perform at my best. I take plenty of time to focus on my physical health, plenty of time to put things in place to help me refresh my mental health, keep it working at as peak condition as I can. We provide access to what we call our happiness platform. We have mental health and well-being support and a 24/7 counselling helpline for the team. We have an online GP service and prescription service that people can use, so they have easy access to online doctor support and get prescriptions delivered to their house. So this is something else that I think truly believe is important, is to have that support for your team to make sure that their physical and mental health is strong. Now, one of the other things we have, and I sort of thought about covering this as part of the governance, but is about a flat hierarchy. And a flat hierarchy is really easy to say, but a flat hierarchy for us is about, yes, having role profiles and responsibilities for each individual position that you might hold, but having the flexibility and the freedom to contribute more broadly to the organization, and not having layers of hierarchy that mean if you want to get anything done, you have to talk to your boss and their boss to make sure that you can, implement an idea, sign off some budget. We try and have as flat hierarchy as possible. Everyone has a role to play and they contribute to the outcomes of the organization. And we want people to contribute in as many ways, as little or as much as they can, day to day within the working day. And the same way I talked about co-creating of the objectives. If you're in marketing, there's no reason that you can't contribute to how we might do something in sales or something in the delivery team. I think now the other main point I want to talk about in the mechanisms and policies that we have is around personal and professional development. And this is beyond training courses. So yes, you can go on training courses. Yes, there are training courses you can send your team on, but this is really about giving people and allowing people to develop in their career, give them career opportunities to do things that stretch them, do things that enable them to try things that they haven't done before, give time outside of the day job, if you like, for growth activities that allow them to try something new. It's very hard day to day when there's so much going on and there's so many operations happening and so many projects to do to actually find that time. But again, conceptually, what this is about, it's about people having the time to develop their career, the time for personal growth. Now, the important thing here is that sort of those final things I talked about in the support mechanisms, the distributed team, the uncapped holiday allowance, all these things. These are things that may not be completely in your control if you're a manager in a broader company. Obviously, I have some flexibility as the leader of this business to pick and choose which of these things we put in. But everyone can put in place the mindset. Everyone can put in place the governance that I talked about in the team, regardless of the business you're in. It's a choice of how you run your team. It's a choice of how you treat your team, and it's a choice about the kind of culture that you develop in your team. As I say, those support mechanisms and policies that are in place, you might need to talk to HR, you might need to talk to business leadership to create those policies, to create the changes that you want to make. But they have to match the mindset. So if there's a disconnect between, holiday allowance and the things that you give people, and the mindset and governance that you have in place, then you have a bit of a mismatch, and you aren't living and breathing the kind of mindset and mentality of being a people first business. Now, I've talked nothing about merchandise for the team, pool tables, swanky offices. Those things can help, and indeed they are very important to some people. But a people first business goes way beyond those, what are really relatively superficial layers of support, and taps into the desires that people have, that are to feel appreciated, to be given opportunity, to achieve mastery, to grow as an individual. So if you want to set up a people first, people focused business, think about the mindset, think about the governance, think about the support mechanisms and policies that you have in place. So I hope you enjoyed that little insight into how we run Cynozure, but also more broadly, some of the lessons that can be learned about how you create your own people first business. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll catch you again soon.